Hello and welcome back. This is Swami from A Coach Called Life, and today I decided to make another video about questions that are often posed to me. And one such question is, am I ever going to be my old self again? And certainly, this is a question that I myself was troubled by and bothered by when I was going through depersonalization. And it's very common to ask this question because depersonalization feels like this radical transformation that's happening to you, and you want to know whether you're okay, one, and then second thing you want to know is you want to know whether you're going to be back to your original self. So let me delve down a little bit deeper. So a lot of people who are going through depersonalization usually follow this arc of where there's life before depersonalization, which to a lot of people is normal, and they're out and about having fun, meeting with friends, and being extroverted, just having a good life, and then depersonalization happens to them, and then things are in such a disarray. Their whole life is upside down, and they want to know if they will ever be back. They want to go back to their old self. They want to go back to the time when they were happy and things were fine. And in my own process, I can see that. If I look back, my whole teenage years and my early 20s were like a time of a lot of fun and a lot less care about in the world. It was spectacular, in the way that I would hang out with friends, not have a lot of responsibility, go drinking, smoke some marijuana, smoke some weed, and watch movies and listen to music. It was a great time of experimentation and fun. And then slowly over time, right when I got to my first job, I certainly became disillusioned with this whole 40-hour work week, with having a job and just working out in the grind, working through the grind. And that caught me a little bit depressed, and then that just followed through for years. And then one day I woke up with a lot of anxiety and disconnection from the real world, which was depersonalization. And once that happened to me, I had no context to put that into, and so it was a really scary experience for me, as it is for most of you guys. And then at that point I was like, that's it, I can't deal with this anymore. I want to go back to my old self. And when can I go back to my old self? And it's just a question that just plagued me all the time. But then now, looking back, I see depersonalization as this transformation process, where you're not going to go back to your old self again, but you're going to go back to a better version of your old self. The problem is, no matter how much you try, you can't turn back the wheels of time. Transformation happens to you whether you ask for it or not, because for example, physical transformation, you are gonna get old, your body's gonna get old, and your body goes through changes. When you were a kid, you were small and tiny and fragile, and then as you become an adult, you become strong, and and then once you become older, you become a little bit less strong and more fragile. And in the same way, your whole mental self goes through this transformation process. And to a lot of people, when they're going through their teenage years, or they're when they're in college, it's probably the best time in their life, because they don't have a lot of responsibility. They're being taken care of, but at the same time they're out there in the world enjoying new things, and it's certainly a really good time for you to have novel experiences and for your mind to grow. But then what happens is that when you get into your 20s or in your late teens, things start happening. Like, you have to shoulder responsibilities, and you go through some kind of transformation, whether you like it or not. You you just can't escape it, and then what happens is that we're not we don't have the education to deal with these responsibilities and these stress levels. We're not told how to manage them, so things can go overboard, and then we end up getting really hyper stressed, which can lead to a lot of depersonalization. Or sometimes we go crazy, like because of all of the stress, we try to like go overboard and like go enjoy ourselves, go on a binge drinking escape, or like try to smoke too much marijuana or something like that happens, or take a lot of psychedelic drugs. And then sometimes these can lead to inadverse effects, and one such effect is depersonalization. But like I said, everything goes through a change. Like your body goes through a change, your mind goes through a change, but not all of these changes are bad. People don't really like change, especially people who feel really comfortable and are like have this setting of comfort, don't really want to change that. But whether you like it or not, life just drags you, and you can kick and scream and go with it, or you can understand that life is calling you to take on higher responsibilities and drag you with it, and you can go along with it without throwing a lot of tantrums. And in some strange way, I saw my depersonalization experience as a transformation that life was dragging me through, and I could kick and scream and put up a fight, and that's only going to increase my agony and my suffering. Or I could try to understand it and take measures to improve myself, and in some ways even like leverage this transformation to get to a better version of myself. So what happened to me was, after depersonalization, or when I was going through depersonalization, initially there was this like chaos, and it almost felt like I was going to go insane, or I would never be my old self again. But then like over time I started understanding that this was a transformation that's happening, and it was indeed like I was being, it was like a sort of a test that I was going through, and I just knew that like when I would get out of it, I would be much more stronger, much more resilient, which is kind of what I feel that I am right now. Like when I look back to my early 20s and like my past self, and then I compare myself now, like I'm still like happy, I'm still doing things that are fun, but at the same time, like I have a routine that's much more healthier than what it was before. Like my diet is much more healthier. Physically I'm much more stronger, and also mentally I'm much more stronger, and also in a strange way, like I've become more empathetic, and like I care about other people's emotional well-being, and other people's distress affects me a lot more than before. I think that's a good thing, and in a way, like that is one of the reasons I am starting this blog and like writing all of these articles is a way, because there's something in me that wants to help people out, and I think that came out as a result of going through something as horrible as depersonalization. It's only after going through adversity that you really know your own strength. Or it's only going through adversity that you find out how much strength you possessed. And by going through this depersonalization process, I've become like a lot more stronger and calmer, and able to understand the world Not completely. I don't think anybody can completely, anybody can honestly say they completely understand the world, but in a better way. Like, my mental model of the world is much better than what I had 10 years ago, let's say. So when people ask me, like, will I ever be my old self again? Like, I tell them, like, hey, you're not going to be your old self. You're going to be something much better, much more stronger, much more resilient than your old self. Because your old self, um, whatever it is your old self is or was, it wasn't fully congruent with reality. It wasn't seeing reality for what it was, and that's why it got into depersonalization in the first place. Maybe you had some internal anxiety that you were not aware of. Maybe you were in a relationship, or you were in a job that you didn't like, or maybe there's like something that was unsettling in your life and you didn't realize it. And depersonalization is a way for you to like be in touch with that, you know um, and so in some ways, like, when you get out of depersonalization, you are fuller, you become wholesome again, much more than what you were before. So whenever people ask me this question, I always tell them, like, let's just imagine this as a transformation process. You're going from stage A to stage C, and you're in B, and this is the arc. Like, in movies, they talk about the arc where, the hero or the heroine is in stage A, and they're happy and they're having fun, and then they go to like B, which is where the bulk of the movie is, which is where they are, going through a lot of tests, and they're they have to fight the enemy, they have to understand the enemy, they're going through a lot of trials and tribulations, and then they go to stage C, which is where things are fine now. But the difference between stage C and stage A is that in stage C, you are much more wiser than you are in stage A. You're much more stronger, and you're still, like, having fun, and like, you're getting your life back again in stage C, but it's much more complete. And that's what I want you guys to see your depersonalization as a transformation that's happening to you, and where, at the end of the day, you're going to be much more stronger. You're definitely going to be a better version of yourself. But the other thing, like, I want to tell you is that don't get hung up on getting back to your old self, because there are parts of your old self that you have to lose in this process, and that's essential. There might be a lot of bad habits that you possessed that you probably have to lose, and there might be like friends and like family members that were affecting you in ways that you didn't know, that you might have to now cut off for this transformation process to fully for you to fully go through this transformation process. So keep in mind all of that, and see this as a transformation process. And yes, it is scary, yes, it's hard to go through, but all transformation processes are like that. You can't go to the gym and just expect not to feel pain and be transformed into a physically fit person, because at the end of the day, that's the collateral you pay. So to quickly summarize, are you going to be your old self again? Probably not. You're going to be better than your old self. You're going to be healthier. You're going to be much more stronger. You're going to be more spiritual in your outlook, and you're going to be healthier. And you're going to be a better version of yourself. So keep that in mind. That's it. Great. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and consider sharing it with your peers and network. And always, please subscribe to my channels. I'm trying to put out more videos every day and every week, and it would be tremendously helpful if you subscribe to my channel. And that's it, guys. Until next video, this is Swami from A Coach Called Life. Have a wonderful week ahead of you.